Hey all, welcome to another rough and ready session. Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you all for being here. I'm going to talk about MicroStrategy earnings, a little bit on Bitcoin, their Bitcoin strategy, some other news, some pair trading stuff, and where we go from here. It's a very interesting case study. And the question is, who will be the genius at the end of it all? So again, this is rough and ready. I will still be doing Okta in about an hour, but I just wanted to get this out to you because I had a lot of questions. So first of all, let's check on Mr. Michael Saylor. After 33 years, Saylor is stepping down from CEO role at MicroStrategy. He will continue to provide oversight of the company's Bitcoin acquisition strategy. That's all he wants to do now. He just wants to buy as much Bitcoin as he can. And MicroStrategy currently holds about 129,699 Bitcoin, just shy of 130,000. I think he personally owns about 17,000 Bitcoin himself. But remember, Michael Saylor has about 16% of the shares of MicroStrategy himself, with 68% of the voting ownership. Think about that. So he can do whatever he wants with this business. And sometimes that can spook Wall Street. And his Class B shares have 10x more voting power. So even if he isn't the CEO, he still controls the vote based on outcomes. And we'll see where this goes. It'll be very, very exciting to watch. But remember, MicroStrategy is down about 25% in aggregate on a $4 billion Bitcoin position. We'll talk more about that in a minute too. So let's talk about the quarterly earnings. They had a $918 million hit from Bitcoin impairment charges. I talked about this a number of times before, and that brings them to a loss for the quarter. If they didn't have this Bitcoin impairment charge, they would have made about $15 million in profit. Remember, they do about $50 million a year, but we'll talk more about that as well. This is the Bitcoin that they have accumulated thus far. Their accumulation strategy is obviously working, and it's been very aggressive, but it has tailed off a little bit in 2022. You can see the flattening of that curve, but they are still buying with every free dollar they have. And their cost of each Bitcoin for this 130,000, let's call it, is about 30,600. So they are underwater to the tune of about 25%. So that's where we are today. Now let's talk about the common question that comes in is a lot of people ask, oh, but isn't the Bitcoin all pledged for debt? No, only about 44,000 of it is. 85,000 is free and clear, i.e. unencumbered. And they have engineered this financially so they will not get a margin call unless, of course, Bitcoin price goes to about 3,400. And in that case, that could be a little bit of a problem. Let's look at the chart and talk about what happened since MicroStrategy started buying Bitcoin in August 2020. I think it was around the 10th of August, their first Bitcoin purchase. And I've been watching the stock carefully from there. And I know Saylor from the mobile days, way back when, etc. But MicroStrategy is up 125% since the 10th of August 2020, despite the downturn. And boy, it's been a rocky ride. The MicroStrategy went to about $1,200 at one stage back in early 2021, as you can see there on the chart. Now let's compare this. Even though people hurl poop at Saylor, the question is, will he have the last laugh? Let's get that to the very end and answer that question. Does this Bitcoin acquisition strategy make sense? Well, MicroStrategy are underwater. Yes, we had a huge cascading set of liquidations that brought the whole market down hard. And if it wasn't for those liquidations, I believe Bitcoin would be well above 30,000 right now. So yes, he is underwater, but will he have the last laugh? Let's see. So comparing MicroStrategy stock to all these other stock names over that exact same period from August 2020, you can see Bitcoin is up 96%, Tesla 210%. Tesla's outperforming Bitcoin. Interesting. Google 55%, S&P 500 22%, gold down over 13%, Meta down 40%, Apple up 44%, Netflix down 55%, Amazon down 15%, silver down nearly 30%, and MicroStrategy up 125%. So just very interesting to have that perspective of where that time frame, might be accused of cherry picking, but Mr. Saylor himself said the same thing. Now, MicroStrategy over the last 12 months is down 55%. Bitcoin's down only 41%. That's over the last 365 days. And you can see the relative performance of Bitcoin in the light green versus MicroStrategy. being down over 55%. So that is a difference. So basically, MicroStrategy has sold off more than Bitcoin over this time period. Let's look at the pair. Now, this got my attention early this morning because I did expect a ding in earnings. I knew the impairment charge would be nearly $1 billion. And in terms of the pair, it was funny because the pair actually hit a year-to-date low. That is from January 1st, 2022. So this is the price when you take Bitcoin price and divide it by MicroStrategy price, you get a number. And that number hit 79 today. And that was interesting for me. So if you take the 55 divided by 41, you get the same type of thing. And since all things mean revert, I had a feeling it was going to shoot up above that 79, and it did. It went up to 83 very quickly after that. So that's the story behind the pair, and I watch a lot of pairs all the time. And note as well, though, MicroStrategy did fall $5 to $10 in after hours. Now it's trading around 275. But remember, do not confuse this number, the pair number, with the number of shares it takes to be a whole coiner, because there is some intrinsic value for the business. We'll talk about that in a second too. Now, the big thing, digging in a little bit deeper, and this became a way bigger story than I wanted, but there's so much information to share and you won't find it anywhere else. So here it is. Digging in deeper, you'll see 51% of the available MicroStrategy shares are now sold short. I covered this at the weekend. People were getting notifications in Fidelity and Robinhood apps. Get 4.5% on your MicroStrategy shares if you give them to us, and we'll give them to somebody else and they'll sell them short. Well, that's what that question over the weekend, I'll add the video here, was all about. And that's how they get their hands on so much. So the blue line is the amount of shares sold short, which is coming up, bump up against 4 million. The total float is 11.3 million shares. And remember, the available shares, these are the shares that are available for trading. 51% is sold short, or approximately 33% of the ones that are in total out there. So this is an all-time high, and most interestingly as well, it soared by 1.2 million shares over the past 30 days alone, according to S3. So people are loading up, selling MicroStrategy short as much as they can. And this could set up for an almighty short squeeze, everybody. So if there is a little spike in Bitcoin price, these shorty shorts are going to get burnt hard. So not giving anybody financial advice, but just watch the space. It could be fun to watch. Now, Jefferies came out and they did a downgrade, and they said MicroStrategy will underperform with a price target of $180. Interesting. $180. So let's dig into that number a little bit and try to figure out how they come up with this number. And do Jefferies actually know what MicroStrategy does or anything about their Bitcoin acquisition strategy? So I ran some numbers, and this is all of the debt that MicroStrategy has. And if MicroStrategy was to sell all of their 130,000 Bitcoin today, pay off all the debt listed here, divide it by 11.3 million shares, you get $163 a share. That is the value of what they hold in terms of Bitcoin less debt. And it has zero value for the actual business itself. So basically, Jefferies are basically saying Bitcoin's never going to go up from here. That's just strange math to me. And I would not take that short bet. So Jefferies, let's see what you say about this. Now, this is the $1 million slide here. What happens if Bitcoin pops? Remember, this is, in my opinion, the number one Bitcoin proxy with a lot of risk. Of course, I always say pure form if you can, but it's worth a play. And the real question is, what will Bitcoin do? So if Bitcoin goes to $50,000, let me blow this up to make sure I can see the exact number. The price will go to about $680 a MicroStrategy share. If Bitcoin goes to 75,000, price goes to $967. And if it goes to $100,000, price goes to $1,254. And that does not include the speculative element of the price. If all of a sudden Bitcoin goes on a tear, that's going to bring a lot of FOMO into MicroStrategy, and it's going to spike up way beyond this intrinsic value as well, ladies and gentlemen. So it's going to be fun to watch. We don't know where this is going to go. Maybe Bitcoin will languish where it is forever, or maybe it'll go to zero. We don't know. But again, this is part of the investment game, risking game. And final note before I jump off, CZ on Saylor, and CZ is a very well-respected, smart guy in the space, and he said, many may laugh at him now, but Saylor will get the last laugh in time. Bookmark this tweet. So that's it, everybody. Super quick one. Let me jump and get on with work, and I'll see you guys again in about an hour, and hopefully I'll be able to present myself too. So thank you to everybody in the chat, and thank you to the mods and everybody else. See you all soon.